Thanks for joining us on Tea and Trowels, the video series from the Florida Public Archaeology Network, where we talk to archaeologists about their research and what archaeology means to them. I'm one of your hosts, Emily Jane Murray, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Mr. Brendan Burke, who is a maritime archaeologist who recently relocated to Virginia, but has spent quite a few years working in Northeast Florida. Hello, Brendan. How's it going?
Hi, Emily Jane. It's well. How are you?
Well, would you like to say anything else about yourself and then tell us about your mug?
Well, as you mentioned, I used to live in St. Augustine, and my favorite coffee mug right here, well, if you can see, but it's from the diesel engine sales company, Desco, the largest producer of shrimp boats in the world. And it says, "The sun never set on Desco boats." And on the back, it says, "Builders of the world's finest shrimp trawlers." This mug was a gift to me by a good friend of mine, Ed Long, recently when we moved up here. And it's an original from the 1970s from the Desco plant.
Very cool. Well, in honor of speaking to you, I had to call in a favor and borrow a Thomas Jefferson mug for you.
Cheers.
Awesome. So what made you want to become an archaeologist?
In 2001, I took a field school. I was then a student at Longwood University, then Longwood College, actually. And we were required to do a certain number of outreach internship hours. And the field school, the archaeological field school, is one of those. So in 2001, in June, I visited the Randy K. Wade site here in Virginia, 44CH62, and got my first taste of archaeology. And I fell in love. Immediately, I added anthropology as an undergraduate major and have been committing archaeology in various places since. But I really did fall in love with it as a way to engage history, prehistory, engage people of the past.
That's cool. So what kind of site was it?
Yeah, the Wade site is a pre-contact site from the Woodland period, dating to, if I remember correctly, about 1300 to 1500 or so. But it's a beautiful site along the banks of the Stanton River in South Central Virginia. And it's a wonderful drainage, big open fields, beautiful place to live and to work. And I was part of, I think, 3 different field schools there over the years, and excavations at that site continue. I was lucky enough to be able to work with a number of human interments at the time, including 2 dog burials. And so the summer of 2001 was kind of a banner year for being able to get into the field in a level of depth that a lot of us don't experience, but for a few times during the course of our careers.
That sounds really fascinating. But you've switched up what you study, no longer dog burials. You want to tell us a little bit about your research and try to keep it to 30 seconds or so?
So since I moved to Virginia, I've been involved in 2 projects. The Nansemond River Ghost Fleet, which is over my right shoulder about 120 miles in Suffolk, Virginia. And it's a collection of abandoned vessels that date to about the Civil War all the way up to around World War II. And we really believe is part of an oystering complex that brings a lot of light to the history of oystering commercial aquaculture in the Chesapeake Bay region through various types of vernacular watercraft, some really unique ones. So with LAMP, when I was with them in St. Augustine, and with the Archaeological Society of Virginia and Longwood College, Longwood University, we did an intensive study on that, which just concluded. And I also just finished a study on the Appomattox River pilot project, locating, relocating, and recording new and previously recorded sites having to do with inland navigations here in the state.
Yeah, I've seen some of the models from the Ghost Fleet wreck, and there's been some cool projects coming out of that.
Yeah, we had a really cool laser scanner that Longwood brought to the field, and we spent 2.5 days recording the site with that, and it was amazing the level of detail that Leica scanner will get over an area the size of a football field.
Yeah, and they can document things in ways that like you can't, I guess, yeah, photographs you can't really get it. It collects more data than that and more things that you like just don't even quite see with your eyes until you see some of the point clouds that you can get. So it's cool stuff. Well, what's your favorite tool in your toolkit?
My favorite tool depends on the job at hand. And I've done everything from maritime survey offshore, where my favorite tool at the time was the boat that kept us alive, safe at sea. And here in Central Virginia, where I've been doing work recently, my research vessel is the kayak that I'm sitting in. And so this is my favorite archaeological tool. I mean, I love LiDAR data, and I love GPSs, and lots of, we all have our personal favorite trowel. But this kayak here has taken me through about 40 miles of Virginia's bywaters, and to record old mill sites and wing dams and all sorts of historic structures, mostly by myself, but with some other folks as well. We actually have 2 of these kayaks, but I love it. It's only 50 pounds, I think, 45 pounds, so I can put it on my shoulder, go anywhere. It's really comfortable. I'm having my first Zoom meeting in it now, and yeah, it's my favorite tool.
Yeah, survey by kayak. There's nothing better than that. Nice, relaxing float down the river. Hard at work. Do you have a best, worst field story that you can now laugh about?
I mean, I guess a best field story. I hate to stack anything so that there only has to be one thing at the top of the pile. I like to think of, there's lots of great stories, but December 17th, 2010, when I lived in St. Augustine and worked with the St. Augustine Lighthouse and Maritime Museum, we went out to monitor a site, the storm wreck, that we believed was buried by sand. We had some volunteer divers with us. In fact, we told them to not be ready for any discovery because it was probably just going to be a cold, rainy, muggy day. And the weather improved on the surface, and the first dive team went in and came back, and we realized that the site was uncovered. The overlaying sand had been washed away by some unknown storm or force. And we discovered the storm wreck ship's bell and 4 cannons that day. That was pretty neat. But we also were surrounded by whales. So we had at least 3 whale sightings within a couple hundred yards of us the same day. We stayed out there till almost sundown. And I was looking back from the site to the lighthouse, and a whale surfaced and spouted between us and the lighthouse right at sunset. That was a pretty good field story.
I was going to say, I think that's leaning into the best part and not the worst part of field work. Just
Yep.
Pretty great. Well, how do you think archaeology can help save the world?
One thing I've learned is that humans always need reassurances and reminding myself, everybody else included, that we share more in common than is different between us. And archaeology, because it gets at the human story, has ways to overcome those divisions in us, to bring a larger narrative to more people, and make history inclusive. It's not just for the sake of making it inclusive, it's because history is inclusive, and it has not been written that way. Archaeology has a powerful tool set to conspire against the forces of division, and frankly do human history and humankind a favor.
Yeah, I always think that's one of the coolest things about archaeology is we can kind of get not just the people who are recorded in history, but the people who are left out of history, and be able to kind of tell a fuller story about the past.
Yeah.
Well, we have a bonus question. What's keeping you sane during social isolation and quarantine pandemic times here?
Well, since we're in a period of transition here in Central Virginia, having just moved from Florida, I'm very fortunate to have a lot of things that are keeping me busy and thereby sane here on the farm. Over my shoulders is our little apple orchard, and we have 28 trees now that are ranged between 2 and 4 years old, and we're opening new lands and making pastures, and we just put in a big garden, 3 rows 110 feet long that are almost all planted. And yeah, the only thing we're waiting to put in is the watermelons and some of the warmer weather stuff. But I'd say that's keeping us about as sane as is permissible.
You're fortunate to have, so many acres and beautiful places to wander around. I keep doing loops around the neighborhood, and it's better than being in a city and cooped up in an apartment. But yeah.
Can I turn the camera around and show folks where the situation around us?
Or
okay, hold on a second here. I'm gonna try not to do this with the kayak. All right. Let's turn the camera around, maybe.
It's our first tea and trowels excursion here.
Trowels in the country. So we've got the old family barn. My great grandfather built that. Here's the kayak back there. We've got a little building here, just an old granary, and a little apple orchard is back in the backside there, moving quickly. Go out in the sunlight here. It's kind of hard to see. See, the house is back up there, and it's a gorgeous day here in Central Virginia. We turned an old corn crib into an office, which is the second building, the one with the little weather vane on it. Let me know if I'm moving too fast too. And then this area over here that looks like a replicated World War I battlefield is soon to be a horse paddock for Lily's horse Gus. And then so this is us, and there's a little orchard. So that's where we're hosting Tea and Trowels today.
Well, thanks for giving everyone a wonderful field trip there. And thanks for taking the time to chat with us. And thanks to everyone at home following along. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers. Take care. Bye.